Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding, episode 105. Of course, Dusty Hanshaw and Scott McNally. And on today's show, Brett Wilkin.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. I've been watching these last episodes and everything. First off, I just want to start out by saying, appreciate you guys talking to me. I think it was last week's episode. Somebody sent me that right away, and I was excited. So much good words to say about the future of bodybuilding, and including me in there, especially you, Dusty. And I really respect that for coming from you guys that know a lot about bodybuilding as well and which direction it's heading. So, love what you guys are doing here because you guys are real. You understand how this all is, and I wouldn't want to be talking with anybody else besides you guys right here.
Well, we appreciate that, man.
We require that you win the Olympia now that I said that.
Yeah, right? No pressure now.
I don't need you to do anything big for me. Just win an Olympia so I look smart. That's all. No big deal.
Yeah. Make Dusty look good. Make Dusty look good. It's hard to not, there's like this group of guys that we're really big fans of because they're kind of hammering home a point that we are always making, which is like the guys who train the hardest and dedicate themselves the most to putting in the work and being the most regimented and setting the example on how to actually take their bodies to the next level. Guys like Hunter and Ian and you and, this new breed of guys, this nonsense people saying that guys don't train hard anymore, and there's this new breed of guy that's like taking it to the next level, and you're one of those dudes. So you're just it's pretty easy to be a fan.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's shit you guys have been doing for years. You've seen it work, and I think it's been lost in translation more so this recent, this last 10 years with the social medias, with the influencers, things like that. Everything's just so flashy, everything's a highlight reel, but you're not seeing enough of like what the true people are doing behind the scenes to get in that work, and that's where it all begins. The two guys that are on the top, it's always been about they've loved the process, just like you guys have, here. And I don't think we see enough of that, but when you guys, bring it to life and talk about it and continue to, pound that into the heads that it's not, it's not all about just looking cool on Instagram, how many followers you have. It's about what you're doing behind the scenes and the work that goes into that. And just putting your head down and getting after it. So, I mean, we know this, but it's important to continue to like pass that on to the next generations because you guys see the shit. I'm sure you get the DMs and things like that. Just like, no, like just quit looking for all the shortcuts and just get in there and do what needs to be done to get to where you need to be.
Yeah. We obviously got to, we want to start with, turning pro and classic. Scott had a photo he was going to throw up here.
Oh, yeah. So let me see if I can find that.
2018, tell us about that. Tell us what your mentality was going in. Look at that.
Who's that guy? I remember that guy.
Who's that guy? That guy's not second at the Chicago. Hey, what do you think when you look at that photo and you think back to turning pro in classic and how things have changed?
Man, it's the journey. With me, it was more so like, look, and I haven't really talked. I don't think I've ever talked about this on podcasts. I talked about it with like a lot of friends and stuff. If I would have done this all over, it would have been a different route. So coming out of, when I started competing, I was in Iowa. There wasn't much of a bodybuilding scene. It was just me and Ivona. I think she was one of the only professional, IFBB pros in that state. And so like, I just kind of went into it. I just wanted to compete. I just wanted to, try to, just get up there at first and like learn how to diet and things like that. But once I started getting into it, I was realizing like how I trained because I have a background in football. So I was always about I love training, and that's where, if I would have had more direction, I would have started this all out as like a bodybuilder, build my way up, through the light heavies, through the heavies, into the super heavies, do the routes you guys did. But with no direction, it was just like, hey, I love to train. I look good. Let's try out this new category. I got to make a weight. So I'll stay around here and then try to get, make that weight. And so that was, luckily enough, I went pro within a year there. So it was exactly a year from my first competition. But after that, like I knew, that's when it hit me. I think I was once I got done with junior nationals, I won it. I went out to Vegas, and I was out there for USA's just to watch some people. And I actually ran into Jay Cutler, and I did a video. I trained with him and did a video with him. Sweet experience. And he's just like, dude, like, you're not going to be in Classic. Like, what are you doing? Like, and so we even
of course,
did,
Jay's eye. Of course, Jay has the eye to see this.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, you can look back at all his videos. He has, like, talks with everybody when they were coming up, and then, like, it all seems to go that way. But we literally talked about, like, the crossover, and we did a whole interview for JTV and everything. But, you know, that was my journey, you know. Then that's when I got in with Matt after that. And, you know, we talked, and it was like, you know, bodybuilding is my future just because of how you approach this, how you train, your commitment to, you know, the nutrition, and mainly so my commitment to always getting better. So with Classic, you know, I don't think they say they can keep getting better, but with me, it was more about I get better with the bigger I get. And we've all seen that now in the last, you know, that might be rare. It's just, you know, that's how I approach things, and I make sure it works that way. But the main thing is I am more focused on being the best bodybuilder I can be rather than fitting a category, rather than, you know, making sure I'm a certain weight. And then for me, it's been awesome to see as I continue to put on more muscle, as I continue to push the weight up. I just keep looking better and better through that work. So it's been, you know, a great experience. And like you said, I still have more and more potential in this. You know, I've only truly been into this for 4 years now. So it's like, you know, let's keep running this. Let's keep doing. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to continue to do what I love. And as long as, you know, I continue to love the process, there's going to continue to see progress too.
What do you think you took from football that applies? Like, what would be some of the main things that you took out of football that are still with you in the gym?
Well, just college sports in general, I think applies to so much after college going into life. Not only in like bodybuilding, I'm just talking about like, you know, when you go into that first job, you know, because what college football does is it prepares you for, you know, overcoming adversity, you know, and then, you know, for football specifically, it was more of a team sport. So it helps with that in regards to like, you know, your next job, if you're a salesman or whatever like that, you have that mentality, you know, like overcome adversity, you know how to, you know, compete. That's the main thing, is compete. And that's something I always wanted to, you know, I've always ingrained, is the competition side of things. I'm always competing either with myself, with somebody around me, with my training partner, you know, and I think that's what, you know, my core roots is like, I just love to compete. And then now I am able to, like, I've honed that all into bodybuilding. And then obviously with the football, and I was also an exercise science major in nutrition. So I had, you know, I worked for the strength and conditioning department. So that's when I learned how to do programming, you know, with periodization and everything like that. That was kind of my first little, you know, touching the toes in the water on that. And then when I got done with football, I just started applying it to myself. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be 165 pounds anymore, which I was when I was 22 years old.
What position did you play at 165?
I was like a slot receiver. I was a good receiver. I was really shifty and really quick. And then when I got done, I was like, you know, I'm sick of running around. I'm not going to run anymore. I just want to put some weight on. And so that's when it kind of took off for me, because I applied that, you know, that football approach, because you know, that was always my focus. I applied that to bodybuilding in regard to just the training aspect. I didn't know anything. I didn't know I was going to be a bodybuilder yet. I would train 5-6 days a week, train hard. And then it wasn't until I met my wife, Ivona, you know, that was probably 3 years later. You know, I probably put on like 10, 15 pounds. I think I was still only 175 when I met her, but I was, you know, lifting a lot. It was in like, then she taught me how to actually eat like a bodybuilder. Because she was like, I remember like the first couple of times we hung out, because she had just gone pro. So she was already in the IFBB and everything. And like, you know those awkward stages when you're just hanging out for the first time, you're still keeping things to yourself. And like, finally she broke down. She's like, do you ever eat? And I was like, yeah, I eat 3 times a day, you know, like, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you know, like, what are you talking about? She's like, no, like, I have all my food in the car, but I'm scared to go grab it because I've already missed like 2 meals because I wanted to, like, I don't want to eat in front of you while you don't eat. So like, that was like the real notion. I was like, wait, what? You eat 5-6 times a day? Like that's a thing? And so it was like, that was kind of the kickstart. I'm like, I'm not going to let this girl tell me that I'm eating like a bitch pretty much.
Oh man.
So that's when it kind of took off.
That's
from
pretty
there.
rare. You don't hear that story often. You don't hear that the
girl had to
woman,
tell the guy to
the
eat
guy
more.
on 5-6 meals a day.
Dude, yeah. I got to tell you, you'd have to be quite a guy to keep up with Ivona too, because she's a beast in the gym too. Tell me a little bit about like her training. What there's got to be something you've picked up from her when it comes to training, because she's like insane when it comes to her workouts.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and I'm not taking any credit for that at all. You know, she's always this. When she's focused and in that gym, you know, she trains hard. She trains harder than most guys I know.
Yeah.
She's locked in. You know, she still keeps it, you know, she's very strategic. She never like tries to push weights too high, but it's just more about the intensity aspect, you know, does a lot of drop sets, things like that. Just so, you know, stays in the category and things, but she just gets after it. And I love that, you know? And then it just comes down to her mentality, our mentality as a couple. You know, we're not going to get outworked in any aspect. And, you know, we carry that over every day.
That's crazy.
What are some of the key things that you think were the key fundamental things as a couple for you to both, you know, make that work doing what you guys do? You know, a lot of people say there's only room for one bodybuilder, right? In a relationship. And a lot of people, that's a rule. And then other couples, they seem to thrive on it. So what's going on there?
I think it comes down to the individuals and, you know, probably how secure they are with their relationships, to be honest. You know, because you see, like I said, like I talk about how great it is. You know, it's obviously not easy, but we've been together 8 years. We understand each other. You know, we've created this bond that, you know, she's my best friend as well as my wife, and we both want to see each other exceed. So it's more of, you know, you give and take. You give and take the whole time. You know, it's you know, you a little bit more your time now, a little bit my time now. But when you're doing it together, you know, I feel it's one of those things we both want to see each other succeed so much that you are willing to go through those tough times. You know, being 3 weeks out together, you know, absolutely dead. But the thing is, like for us, it works out really well because there's just no distractions. So I feel like pretty much all preps we have done, you know, meaning as we've been pro, all our preps we've been doing them together. And I think for us, it's the best route to take because then, you know, there's no distractions with, you know, her being out on the weekend while I'm home dieting or, you know, things like that, or, you know, food, you know, bad food in the house and stuff like that. But the main thing is you got to be able to handle yourself as a person first. I know Scott knows this and stuff, but I'm a very, very chill person and you know, and mostly an introvert too. So I'm like, you know, I love the process of prepping. So I'm never, you know, I never get too riled up. I'm never angry. You know, the only thing that happens to me is I just get a little bit more quiet towards the end of prep because I'm just tired, you know? So I love it. And I constantly remind myself, and I think people need to do this. And like, I remind people too, when they're bitching to me about things is like, you chose to do this. We know this. We choose to do this. We choose to compete. And I'm really good at keeping that in my head. You know, I'm always thankful for that because, you know, there was a time when I wasn't competing and like, you know, like I said, I got into this a little late. I didn't compete until I was, you know, I turned pro at 28 or at 29. I didn't start competing until I was 28. So it's like, you know, now I only have, you know, a certain amount of years. I mean, I still have good years ahead of me, but I only have a certain amount of years, and I'm willing, like, that's why I think my progress has been so good is because, like, I've done this shit in the past. You know, I used to go, you know, be at the bars, partying and all that distraction and stuff. But now it's like I'm all in, and I'm living all in every day. And it's like, now we've created a lifestyle about it. We've moved out here to Denver. You know, I have different avenues, you know, working in different things to make everything happen. And then we're in the best setup here at Armbrust Pro Gym, I think, that anyone can ever be at. So it's like we created this, and everyone, you know, when people say you're lucky, and Dusty made a good point about it, it's like we're not lucky. We did this, you know. We set ourselves up for this, and like you have, you know, we put ourselves in this position to thrive. We moved away from our family that we missed dearly, you know. We don't get to talk to them. We don't get to see them very often. I only go back. I see them like twice, 3 times a year now, you know. So we made a bunch of sacrifices. You know, I don't go out, anything like that, but it's because I know what I want to do, and that's, you know, like Dusty said, I want to win that Olympia. I want to be on the top. So I'm gonna act on that every day, and I'm gonna act on it accordingly and set myself up for the best possible way.
I think that's one of the things that I was excited to have you on for, because it's a regular conversation that I have with my athletes, and we have it on the show all the time, that I don't know how it gets missed, but it gets missed that, like, I'll say, like, you know, a guy like Brett Wilkin couldn't tell you the last time he missed a meal. because you don't miss meals. You know what I mean?
Right.
Your life revolves around this. And it's funny to me that, something I must type this once a week. It's like, to clients, I'll say, you want to be one of those 1% people, but you're not willing to do more than the 99%. Well, then it doesn't happen, because it'd be fun for you guys. I mean, you guys have set yourselves up financially and in other ways. It'd be fun to go out and celebrate on the weekends or whatever, but it's like, you won't have much to celebrate if that's how you live. It's like, you can do that shit when you guys are retired and moved on. So I like that you press that, because it's a 24-hour-a-day job, not just for the 12 weeks you're in prep.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and like, there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts to the top. And, luckily we've had, we've been involved with a lot of good people in this industry that have made it to the top, being like, or I've been around people, John Meadows, being around him, listening to him. I'm lucky enough that I've been able to talk to Phil Heath quite a bit. And, talk about, the mentality and mindset that you got to be in to get to the top there. So it's just like, you hear, a lot of people hear this thing and it's 1 year out the other. But once you truly grasp that and be like, all right, this has to be, if you're really going to run with this, it has to be all in all the time, and it just has to be complete lifestyle. And then once you find, I'm lucky enough to have a partner that wants to do that with me and believes in it just as much as I do, then it just can be just as productive as well.
Mm-hmm.
That year, 2018, when you turned pro, I could swear that every bodybuilding event I went to, you were there. Like, you didn't take any days off. In fact, you know what? I went through my phone. I pulled up. I got another picture from the archive. Let's see if you remember this one. Let's see. It's loading. It's a big file. Yeah, literally every freaking contest that I went to, North Americans, you were there. Obviously, Junior Nationals. Where else am I thinking? Olympia, you were there. There was like 5 times that I ran into you. You were just like out there, just meeting people, talking to people, networking, growing. So I just want to echo again what Dusty's saying. It's not luck. Like, you guys have worked for this. I remember you guys packed up and you decided you're going to move out to Armbrust. You've got a hell of a training partner out there. You guys push each other. I know Dylan's on your side. He has I can tell, he really sees a lot in you. I think, and that's the thing. I feel like when you take people that are truly honest, like people who genuinely are putting the work in, like, we want to get behind that. The people who listen to these podcasts, like, we interviewed you back in 18, right after you turned pro. Like, there were so many people didn't even know who you were. And then you gained like all these instant followers because they could get behind what you're doing. Like, people want to find somebody who's doing the kind of stuff that you're doing, where they're actually putting the work in. I think it's cool. It's cool to see, and it's nice to see that's still happening in bodybuilding.
Absolutely. I think it'll always be there. People identify with real people. Who's in this for the right reasons, who they can relate to, because they're in there. A lot of people in there putting the work as well. And then they want to cheer on people that they look up to, as well as they can relate to as well.
Tell me about why did you pick Armbrust? Like what previous relationships made you choose Armbrust? As opposed to other maybe ideal locations.
Yeah. So that started. I mean, we were kind of. We were realizing that we needed to, get out of Iowa in regards to if we wanted to take this to the next step in regards to marketing, making ourselves out there, making ourselves more known, because the bodybuilding scene just wasn't very big in Iowa. So honestly, at first I was looking more so, we kind of liked going down to Tampa quite a bit. For some reason we were always like making trips down to Tampa and Clearwater in that area. And we were honestly kind of looking at moving down there. And I had never actually been out to Denver, or I've been obviously out in the mountains and stuff, but not anywhere else in Colorado. So what happened was Ivona started working with Dylan. Actually, Dylan was actually started coaching Ivona, and then because we got hooked up through Candace Carter, because we were at the Arnold's with her and her husband, had a great time. He had been coaching her for years, and they were like, Dylan's a great guy. He's a great coach. So she started working with him. And then through check-ins and stuff, we got to know him a little bit. And I was like, this guy's pretty cool. We need to go check him out. We need to go meet him. So made a trip out to Denver. It was literally about 4 weeks before I went pro. It was like in May of that year, 2018. Just came out to the gym, stayed in this hotel. We were here for like 4 or 5 days. But not only just the gym, we came in and just trained every day. Ivona trained with Dylan, and I actually trained with Adam Young at the time. He was getting ready for a competition.
Nice.
And it was just like, everything just felt right, man. It was just like, you know, not only just, you know, all the great equipment at the gym and everything, you know, the cool atmosphere, but like we went up to the mountains every day. We went around the different areas here, discovered everything. And just, you know, the weather out here is absolutely amazing. Love that. And just the climate, you know, a little bit drier, so you're not always sweating and stuff. So it all kind of like clicked, and it just felt right driving back, you know, that 9.5 hour drive back to Iowa. And I was like, you know, if we're ever going to do this, we need to do this now. You know, if we're going to run with this, we need to run with it now. So literally within like I think it was like 2.5 weeks later, we picked an apartment off of a Google Maps and said we're going to go there and give it a try. And if we don't like it, we can always move back. And like, and we were in that situation. I was like, I just had gotten done with a job. We were also living with her brother and sister-in-law. So it was like, you know, this is a perfect opportunity. If we're ever going to do it, we need to do it now, and then we can decide from there. So we came out here, you know, and people don't realize it wasn't easy at first. You know, I was, you know, coming out, you know, leaving a good job, coming out here to just like be pretty much just out here just to have the gym atmosphere. Luckily, with, you know, Dylan being such a great dude, he like really got us up on our feet. You know, at first I started working for the gym a little bit, like at 4 a.m, like a shift, and people don't realize like we had to put in the work when we first got here. It wasn't just like everyone's like, I want to move out to Armbrust and, you know, get big, and it's like, nah, you still gotta do life. You know, you gotta build your foundation. You gotta get clientele. So I was in there, you know, at 4 a.m. trying to like recruit people for training and things like that. So, and you know, over time it built up, and then, you know, so the main focus was still the bodybuilding on the side, but still had to build up the clientele, build up money. We were able to do that, and then like, you know, after about 6 months, we started getting really comfortable, and I was like, you know, this is the greatest decision we ever made. And then since then, it's just continued to take it off, up. So very, very happy we chose this place. I love it out here. I call it my box. You know, people want us to move to Texas or, you know, going into Florida and stuff. I'm like, no, I got my box up in Denver that, you know, when it's in there, you know, there's no egos around me. It's just go in there, train your ass off, you know, and then just do it all over again the next day.
Are you training with?
I popped into Armbrust after a guest posing one time on a Sunday morning just to catch a training and get out of town. It was funny because I didn't tell Dylan or anybody. I didn't know him at that point, so I was just like, I'm gonna go to the gym. And it was funny. I realized that Armbrust is just a different thing because I popped in the front door and I just walked up and like, hey, can I get a guest pass? And it was, I don't know who it was, some young looking girl working there. And she goes, you can train, but I can't give you a guest pass. And I was like, what? And she goes, Dylan will kill me if I charge you. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I just assumed she wouldn't know. And it happened to be leg day. I walk in the back room, and I didn't realize that leg day is a thing at Armbrust Gym on a Sunday. Everyone legendary. I've ever known in the world was in that back room, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a good fucking day. Like, I mean, there was probably 10 people that I knew that were pros or really good amateurs just back there blasting. And I was like, oh, hell, I could move here too. Like, you know, you walk in there and you can just tell. And it was interesting because, you know, obviously, now that you're traveling all the time, like, I just assume no one knows who any of us are because in our little bubble, you know, people know, but outside of it, nobody gives a shit. You know, so it's surprising when you go to a gym and it's like, no, this place is built for this, you know. And so I could definitely see how you could fall in love in 5 days and decide to move because, you know, I was pretty happy in 2.5 hours. I was like, I like this fucking place.
the first time I trained at Armbrust, I had gotten off the plane that day, and we all went to the gym at night, and I had a back workout, and I just smashed this back workout. I did a one arm rows with the big blue dumbbells from the Broncos camp that he's got there. And, you know, I had fun there, right? I did a bunch of machines. I did more volume than normal. And then as we all do when we're in a fun gym that has a bunch of equipment, we're like, well, they'll do one more set on that.
Yeah, got to try it all out.
Yeah, I want to try this stuff out. And then as soon as I was done training, like within minutes of finishing my workout, like, you know, you take your headphones off, you sit down, you're like, okay, I'm done. I got this fucking headache. And I was dying, and Johnny Jackson was with me, and I was like, man, I've got such an amazing headache. I think I might throw up. And he goes, oh yeah, it's the altitude.
Oh shit.
Did you have anything happen to you like that? Because I don't know, I just fucking, it hit me, and then I threw up outside. No. I just splitting headache.
Damn.
Yeah, and it was just, I guess,
altitude is real.
Yeah, I guess I must have been living somewhere kind of low, you know, and then it just fucking blew the socks off me when I trained that hard, man. Did you have any adjustment period?
So first time, yeah, like when we came out on that visit, I remember I did the same thing. We did back the first day, and we got it done, and I had a headache as well. Just like that, I didn't throw up or anything, but you really start to feel it on like leg days. And when you really, you know, those deep sets, those top sets or those back off sets, you know, those extended intensifiers, it's just the and I still get it to this day, you know, even on those intensifiers, like the recovery, just like you're like breathing for air, but it just takes longer and longer and longer to get recovered. But at this point, I'm at a point, like, I love it. You know, it's like, it's an advantage. Because then when I go down to, like, you know, I went down to Florida 2 weeks ago to that Revive gym, and it's just like, you just feel so much better. And you like, you know, I'm like, I'm not breathing hard. This is weird, you know? Like,
well, you're like a cyclist that sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's
you've got more red blood cells than everybody.
But it definitely took probably about a month, you know, a month to 6 weeks to fully get used to it, like after those, you know, those leg and back days and I remember even having, like you said, I had those headaches for about 2 months for the first, as a while I was living out here too, and then they finally went away and got more adjusted and everything. But it's definitely a real thing. So I'll warn people when they come out here, if like they just came out for a show and then they're like, oh, I'm gonna go do legs on Sunday after the show. I'm like, first off, you shouldn't do that anyway. Yeah. And second off, you're gonna get your ass kicked by this altitude. So I'm just gonna give you a fair warning on that one. So, but it's definitely a real thing.
What? How did you wind up training with? You trained with Martin Fitzwater all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how did that wind up happening? There he is.
So he was born and raised up in Wyoming, which is a state up from here. So he was about 2 hours away. Mm-hmm. So about 2 years ago, he started coming down. Like, what's cool about Armbrust is every Saturday they do open posing classes. So we have a posing room, and then like for an hour is the men's slot, and an hour is the female slot, and it's open to anybody. And you know, then you got some coaches in there, you know, that help out with it. You know, Alan Watkins is in there. You know, I'm Young, Dylan. They all help with this. So it brings in a lot of people. And then Saturdays are busy as hell here, which is really cool. But he started coming down just for those posing sessions. I think he was getting ready for like, you know, USA's that year or something. And I was in there actually getting ready, I think, for my 212. Yeah, that would have been I was getting ready for my 212. And then like, I was posing with him. I'm looking at him. I'm like, dude, this kid's got some big ass legs. You know, he's like a big dude. He looks good, you know. And so like, then at that time, I think he was only like 22, 23 years old. And I'm like, whoa, you know. So I wanted to like kind of get my hands on him as well. And so like, you know, we started chatting. So I was like, hey, you know, are you going to work out today? And so we ended up hitting a training session there. And it's kind of like, you knew after that, you know, when we were training, he was doing like, he kind of already set up his training the same way I did. You know, it was the intensity that was there. We had a great workout. And then like it turned into, he started coming down every single weekend. He would just come down. He ended up just staying at my place, you know, on the couch from like Friday and Saturday night. We'd train 3 days in a row. Then we'd head back for work for 5 days. And finally I was like, man, you know, if you're gonna keep running this, you just got to move down here, you know. So when the time was right for him, you know, he packed everything up, came down there. It was about a year and a half ago. And we've been training, you know, and obviously we've been training ever since, but obviously that's been a big component of my progress in this sport as well, as having him as a training partner, having, you know, the accountability of someone that continuously to compete with, you know, push me as well as push him, and then like, you know, grow together. So it'll be a lot of fun to see him continue to develop in the sport too, because he's going to be dangerous, you know, just with that youth and, you know, that size already. But that's definitely been a big component, and I've been very thankful for that.
That's cool.
How many other dynamic duos like you two do you find yourselves being competitive in the gym with the other duos? You're like, I'm gonna bury those guys. You ever find yourself doing hacks next to another kind of, you know, high level team that's doing leg press?
I feel like you're starting to see
these guys.
You're starting to I feel like you're starting to see more duos now. You know, I'll get tagged and stuff. It's like we're the Brett and Martin of like Canada or something like that.
Nice.
But you know, like it's missing. Like, I mean, can you even really name like a big duos besides like Branch and Johnny that, you know, consistently worked out together for long periods of time, you know? And as you guys know, it's a lot of it's the egos, man. It really is.
Yep.
A lot of these, top guys while they're going up and stuff, it's the egos that take over, and it's just like a little bit of insecurities as well. It's like I'm always gonna have to be next to this guy, look next to this guy. But once you shut those things out, and you're like, or just find the right person that just, hey, I want to see myself improve, but I'm also gonna help. I'm gonna make this guy improve as well. Because if we work together, we're only gonna get better. So the end goal is always gonna be better if we do this. So let's shut everything else out and just train our asses off and have fun doing it.
I think you guys have the right mentality, because it's funny, but it's something that I was curious, to be honest with you, watching you rise up, because like you already stated, when you got into the sport, Ivona everyone knew who she was. Right. And I didn't know her on any sort of level at that point. And when you started kind of rising up as well, it showed a lot of who she is also, because some people can't handle that. It's like, whoa. Huh. No, yeah. I'm the person in this house. How are you also the person? You know what I mean? And so you guys have a lot of that going on, because, I mean, I don't know how long, how many people you've been around, but I've seen it. I've seen couples fall apart because someone else starts to rise up, and it's like, wait a minute, but I'm supposed to be the focus. A lot of people can't handle that. So the fact that you have that in the gym as well, there's a reason you guys are cashing in on it that I think is phenomenal. Like, I would love to train back when I was pushing with someone that was better than me, because I'm chasing and they're trying to make sure you don't catch up, and they want you to do well, but you know how that works. It's like, I've had that with good training partners. I mean, even if they're not as strong as you, if they get 2 more reps than they got last time, you're looking at your numbers going, well, I got to get 2 more too. Like, it doesn't matter if they're not quite there. Whereas in your case, I mean, you got to be pretty damn close, pretty well across the board. I've watched some of your training. I'm like, fuck. They don't even have to change weights. They just get on.
No, that's why it works out really well, is because everything is pretty much evenly matched. I'm a little bit stronger on pushing, like pressing movements, and then also like squatting and like quad stuff. And then he's he's stronger on like, back, like pulls and hamstring things, because his posterior chain's crazy. So it's more of like, hey, you run this today, you pick it, and I'm just going to chase you kind of thing. Like, I want to match you. And then you're tomorrow, you pick the exercises. Let's push it. So it works out. It works out extremely well. And you made a good point there, especially with Ivona and stuff. And that just comes down to putting those people around you that putting those people in your circle that are truly belong there. And are there for the right reasons. And then that's just part of life, figuring out who people are. You're gonna have to kick some people out, as you're gonna have to like figure out who some people really are and get them out of your life. But once you get that set in that right circle, man, you can thrive, and that's we're in that position now that we're really thriving after doing this for the last 4 or 5 years, and I know what it takes now, and I know who I want to be in this with me, and I'm gonna keep it that way,
Yeah. That's awesome.
True Nutrition has supported our programming now for a number of years, and I'm super grateful for it, because they believe in us and I believe in them. I'm sure you guys have heard of Dante Trudell. We talk about him on the shows. He had a vision of offering high-quality, third-party tested supplements at a fair price. They have a ton of different protein powders, just about every type you could think of, literally thousands of flavor combinations. Hit me up if you're interested in suggestions. They offer health supplements. I use their collagen and their fish oil, and of course, they offer performance supplements. You can get bulk EAA powder or beta-alanine. You can also get finished products like the Mountain Dog Perry MD Intra-Workout. If you shop with True Nutrition and you use our code THINK, you'll get some additional savings, you'll get high-quality supplements, and you will support our programming. You can also help to support the shows through Patreon. I appreciate everybody who's made a contribution. You guys are helping to keep me pumping these podcasts out. I have links to everything in the description. Check them out. Let me know what you think, and let's get back to the program.
Training at Armbrust, it's one of those gyms that has like that crazy variety of stuff, like how many, plate loaded back machines are there, that sort of thing, like the leg room, that sort of thing. So what pieces are in there that you realize now you would need if you left? Like, you go train at other gyms and you realize they have just the normal stuff. And then you go to Armbrust and you're like, fuck, what pieces in there do you just find yourself using that you can't believe other gyms don't have them?
Well, that's the hard part is going and training somewhere else now. It's like I almost need to take this whole damn gym with me, you know. So the main thing is like, you know, I'll just even go quick here over a few body parts. Like on back, we have one of those Nautilus, you know, pullover machines. I had never used anything like that before. Yeah. I remember even coming here and like trying it the first couple of times. I'm like, this sucks. Like it does not do anything, you know.
Yeah.
And then I think I ran it one time with Dylan. He actually showed me how to, like, you know, keep your chest up, drive through your lats, things like that. And it changed everything, you know. So it's like, it's that, you know, once you figure out how to use these equipments, it's a game changer. I really like the Magnum, like that 3 grip row machine. That's really helped my back.
Yeah.
It's rare, so a lot of people want that as well. So he's done such an amazing job of, you know, it's one of those gyms that there's just like there's so many different brands of equipment there because he just chooses it certainly off of like the feel of that piece of equipment. So he went around, you know, over the years, tried these at different gyms. It was like, I want that. I'm going to find that. And so he does that. And the cool thing is now is like, he's giving me those reins as well. You know, he's giving me those opportunities to, you know, if there's something I want, I think he needs to bring Jim. He just tell me and I'll get it in here. So
that's so cool, that's been man.
That's
so
been
cool.
A lot of fun bringing in new toys that, you know, I might try somewhere else and be like, hey, this would be a great addition. And he'll jump right on it. But the convenience factor of just having a leg room, you know, when you have a separate leg room and you can just fill that up, you know, then it's just like, what do I want to do today? You know, so like how we run our leg sessions is we have about like, you know, we stick to our core 3, like we have like 3 different exercises like for quads. So 3 different, you know, training days. Yeah. So, you know, one day will be like the pendulum squat, you know, the hack squat, the leg press. The next time it'll be like, you know, the belt squat with the leg extensions. With the other hack squat. So it's like we have 3 hack squats, you know, we have like 2 pendulum squats, we have a Rogers squat. So it's like, you know, when you have those resources, you can get really creative with your training. And then you can like, it almost makes the progressive overload even better because like you come back to it like every 3 weeks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'll drill something 1 week and then like week 4 of that month is when you come back and you drill it again. And like, yeah, you're obviously you're going to progress from those other movements you're doing on different types of equipment as well. And then you come back to those, you know, every 3-week rotation. So really been beneficial just to have that the big majority of numbers of equipment. But not only that, the quality of that equipment too, because it's not, you know, you've been to gyms where they just have a shit ton of stuff, and it's like only like 50% of it you're going to use. Here, it's like 90% of the stuff I use, so it makes it very, very beneficial.
That's cool. Right.
And sometimes if you do go to a fitness gym and they have a lot of stuff, the stuff matches. So it's pointless. Like you don't want 3 of the same leg press.
Yeah.
You know, like there's fitness gyms do that, right? They're like, oh, we're a big gym. We need 2 leg presses. So they get 2 identical leg presses. And then the bodybuilders are like, fuck, you had an opportunity here.
Yeah.
I remember when I was, I was walking around the gym with Dylan and I pointed at a couple things. I was like, oh man, I love that. And he goes, yeah, Phil wanted that. And then we walk a little bit more and I go, oh, I love this piece. He's like, yeah, Phil wanted that. So, you know, in the day, I think there's a lot of things that came in because Phil wanted them, which was probably, you know, definitely part of Dylan building the gym there. You know, do you feel, is there, and this might be a funny question because I don't even know if you see Phil around there. Do you see Phil at Armbrust now?
Not so much lately. You know, he lives about 45 minutes from here, so I think he's been going to like a closer gym. It's up in Aurora. It's in the north side of town. Just because for a convenience factor, because, you know, obviously, I mean, it's known between us. He's not competing in the Olympia and everything, so he's focusing on some other things that I know of, you know, with like maybe acting, things like that. So he, you know, hasn't been going to the gym as much. But definitely before that, you know, he was coming in. He usually came in at nights. He would train at night just to not get distracted during Olympia preps and stuff. But he still swings in every once in a while just to say what's up, which is really cool. You know, come in and say, you know, shake some hands, talk to some people, and maybe get a couple pump workout and look huge and walk out, you know. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I was going to ask if, you know, like, if you could kind of feel there were 8 Olympias in that room, you know, like there's something to the training environment there for sure, you know, and I know they've got the wall there, Phil's wall with all the pictures and stuff, which is really cool. But you know, there's definitely a legacy with that gym now, you know, like I remember Dylan telling me like, you know, they opened the gym and they got the gym going. And then all of a sudden they have an 8-time Mr. Olympia. Just this crazy advertisement for the gym that you could have never you can never plan that.
Yeah.
And I mean, how much did that help the gym, right? I mean, it probably propelled it insanely.
Yeah, well, what people don't know is the gym was already here before Dylan took it over. It was nothing. They didn't even have anybody that worked the front desk. The phone. Dylan tells me stories. He's there was a phone at the front, and whenever it rang, somebody that was just working out would go up and answer it and be like, "Hello, what do you want?" So it was just
that's awesome.
You would just throw money at the guy that he'd be in there, once a month. They just throw money at him if they ran into him. So it was so when he just asked everybody in the gym, he's like, I want to sell this gym. Does anybody want it? Pretty much. So then that's when Dylan went all in on it, being just a young bodybuilder himself, took a risk, and I don't think he really knew what he was going to do with it. He just wanted to say he owned the gym, So that was I think 13 years ago now. So he took it over, started training in there, just training his own clients. Still wasn't that big. But then that's when Phil, was getting done with college basketball because he was going to Denver University. Because he was originally from Seattle. So he just came out here for college. It's probably, 175-pound point guard or something like that. Got done with, same kind of story with me. Got done with college sports, didn't know what he wanted to do. So went to the gym, probably started training for a month hard, and then, probably just started blowing up. It's crazy. And then that's when they kind of, the history after that was history. But like you said, Dylan did a great job of, running with that, building it kind of around Phil, having, there's murals on the wall, all of his accomplishments are in there. And just providing Phil that environment to thrive in, letting them have the keys so he can come, giving them a parking spot, doing everything. For us, it's this is a no-brainer. But you look nationwide at all these gyms, not many people would have done that. Not many gym owners, first off, they have egos, and second off, they would have been scared that, oh, this is known for a big bodybuilder. We don't want to scare away the normal people and not make as much money and things like that. So he's done an amazing job of, Armbrust is it's not just bodybuilders. I mean, you saw it, Dusty. It's a lot of local people as well. They are thriving on numbers of just people that train there in regards to whatever level of fitness they're at.
That's cool.
So they've done an extremely good job of making it friendly for anyone to come in. That's what I love about it. It's just you have your normal day, your mom and pa in there, as well as a pro bodybuilder right over there to your right. But he has always kept intact that this is a bodybuilding oriented gym. This is where we would like to see competitors come to. And then you can either come in here and train around them and be part of it, or you can choose a different gym as well. So it really fixed a good niche here, and it's really thrived. And obviously Phil was a big part of that, and his titles over the years.
That's so cool.
I think that it's impressive too that somehow I think it's probably respect for Dylan, but you've got a lot of really great athletes in there. I mean, great bodybuilders, and I've found over the years of popping in and out that there's no ego in the gym, or if there was, he's apparently smashed it out, because you don't feel that. How sometimes you put two alphas in the same room and there's only room for one? That gym has 20, and it's fine. You know what I mean? You can feel that, because I've seen that at other gyms too, where, like you said, you pop in and my mom wouldn't necessarily want to train there because it's crazy. Whereas she comes into a place like Armbrust, and sure, there's freaks all over the place, but she doesn't feel out of place for whatever reason. I mean, somehow Dylan has done something pretty impressive with that, because I think that's a hard thing to pull off, balancing egos and that business stance, because it's tough,
That's a good point.
I agree completely, man. Like I said, it came down to him. He's done a lot of work in there and has made a crazy environment for everybody. And like I said, it's that box that the reason I thrive in there is because there isn't those egos. Everybody wants to kind of see everybody, strive and progress together. One really good example of that is, you obviously gyms. I don't know how your gym up there is, Ron, but I come from gyms, and when I was in Iowa and stuff, people just, people didn't put their weights away. I mean? And that there, it was all the time. You literally walk up to a machine, there was weights on it, and you had to adjust it, But then even in normal gyms, when you travel and stuff, you'll always come up on something that has weights on it and things like that, and you're whatever. But here, it doesn't matter who it is, if it's a pro, if it's the first time working out, you take your weights off. It's an unwritten rule. you get shamed if you don't. So it's like, it's just so cool. Like you never walk up to a machine with any plates on it because people are it's so in tune that like, they want to see this place, continue to be their home. They want to continue to keep it clean, continue to be a great atmosphere. So everybody's kind of on the same page in regards to like being professional in the gym. There isn't this, isn't any bullshit going on. And that's why I like it so much.
Yeah. Sometimes we get new members that maybe come from a fitness club and they like have that leave one plate on everything mentality. And you have to pull them aside and go, oh, hey, we got to put everything away here. Like everything goes back, but they're pretty good. And like, I find the serious gyms are way better for that. I mean, the etiquette's just a lot higher, the respect factor is much, much larger. So, and I got tons of questions for you, but a few of them were about sponsorships. And I see you wearing the Hostile shirt. And I figure, what's the story behind you hooking up with Fouad there and getting that call?
So that was, I didn't have a sponsor, a supplement sponsor leading up for probably the last 9 months. And this was all kind of planned. Like I said, it's cool that this all came together the way it did. And it was exactly how I planned it out to be. And again, it just came down to me. I was just so much more focused. I'm like, you know what, I'm focused on the work here. I'm focused on making a statement, coming out, shocking the bodybuilding community in my first pro show. And so I'm going to make sure I do that by, doing what I need to do to get it done. So it was more so coming into that show, we knew we were going to do well. We didn't know how well, you never know, especially with, how I'd compare with size next to like a Rolly, things like that. But I wanted to focus solely on, blowing it out of the water and then letting the sponsorships and things like that come after, after the competing side of things. So it's funny because I did an interview before the show with Fouad, and I think he had me he was predicting me to get 9th place or something like that. And, and so that was the great part. But then, I was kind of giving him shit for that. And then after we got done talking, he's like, man, he's like, I really enjoyed talking to you. You can really hold yourself well. I really like what you got going on here. Good luck at the show and everything. And then, we went into that prejudging the next morning. I think it was 2 days later, the prejudging in the morning. After prejudging this, I already had, I had an audio message on my phone from him. He's like, hey, man, I really want to talk to you after the show. That was really cool and stuff. So, he was excited about that and stuff. But, looking at it, it kind of came down to what was going to be best for, Ivona and I, because she was the same way. We were going to, let's just take a break from sponsors real quick because let's just focus on building our brand here, doing it the right way in that, we build the following, build the marketing on ourselves from our production, and then get behind a company that, we truly believe in. And then after talking to Fouad a lot, I'm good friends with Ben Chow as well, who's he's one of their, main athletes on there. So, after talking to him, we came up with this would be the best thing for us. Ivona's the first female athlete on the team. So she can be a main focus on there. And as you've seen, Hostile has kind of really been blown up over this last year. He's done a great job over there, especially with that podcast and stuff. So it just felt right. They believe in the heavy, intense training. It's all about the process involved. The teammates on there are just, bodybuilders that, I look up to, in regards to how they do their, how they hold themselves. So the sponsorship thing just, fell in line. That one. And then also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm with that sauce company, that Flavor Gang sauce. And honestly, this might be the funnest sponsor I've ever been part of. I get to help create sauces. I get to,
no way.
So it's owned by Ross Flanagan, and he's a great man. He's a great dude. He's just, it sounds like seriously, he's just in it just because he loves the process. I don't think he's took a paycheck from it yet. He's just throwing all the money back into the company, and he gets everybody involved. He has a cool team over there. But I actually have my own sauce coming out that we all created.
You're kidding.
On Halloween.
What is it?
Yo, you haven't seen this?
No, I didn't see
the butcher sauce.
The butcher sauce. Okay.
So I'll send you a picture. We got the logo and everything. So they already have the mutant sauce. So they have 2 sponsored athletes. I mean, the full-time sponsored athletes. It's me and Nick Walker. So he has the mutant sauce, and the mutant sauce is really, really good. I eat it every day. And so I was like, and so we started talking after the show a little bit, and I was like, hey, how do I get on this? I want to make a sauce because I'm a sauce guy in Aussies. I like sauce on every food I have. So he's like, yeah, of course, let's run with this. So we started putting the sauces together. Now we have it. It's mine, the butcher sauce is going to be like a chimichurri sauce, like a dipping sauce for steak. We already have all the prototypes out. I've already tried a few, and we're going to release it here at the end of October. So I'm really excited about that because that company's really, really grown, and it's been a lot of fun with, building that, having a say in it, and seeing where it goes, man. Just think if I'm in Walmart someday with this little me holding like a knife and an apron and stuff.
I love it.
I like that. So the sriracha sauce. That stuff is the bomb. I love that. Maple is really good. Sriracha maple. I love that.
Yeah. So like I said, these opportunities arose because again, it goes all back to, it came from that showing, which all came into the preparation for that, and just me believing in myself, having the team around me to get to where we did, and the only way that weekend could have got better in regards to the competition is if I would have won. But I think it was a good preview of what's ahead, and it really set me up. It helped us out financially. Now I have these sponsors that are going to help me, be able to focus more on bodybuilding even more.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so that's I'm very thankful for that, and it's good to see where this is going to be going.
After the show was over, and after the show was over, and you had second locked up, when you're leaving the show or going to eat after or whatever you're doing, was there a moment when you thought, fuck, look at the list of the guys I beat? Like, when did that set in, when you looked at the list of the guys that placed 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th behind you?
You know what, to be honest with you, it set into me about a couple minutes into prejudging. I'm not gonna lie. This is how I explain it. It's like, it's one of those things that, like, and I'm sure you guys have felt it on the stage. Like I didn't, like I said, I didn't know what to expect. I had some confidence because I knew, I knew conditioning was there. I just didn't know what I'd look like next to people because, I didn't, besides standing next to Martin, who's obviously awesome looking too, that's all I can compare to on like the open stage. So I didn't exactly know what I was looking like. I had a little good idea because I stood next to Hunter a year before. I was smaller then, but I knew like I looked really good on some shots next to him and stuff. So I had some confidence, but it wasn't until we went out so that I knew it was going to end up being this. With Rolly's last name being Winkler and mine Wilkin, I knew I'd be standing next to him when we came out to present ourselves for the initial comparisons.
Yeah, alphabetical.
So it was like when we went out there and we did the initial comparisons in the quarter turns, like on that first quarter turn, we turned to the right and I hit it and he's right next to me and I can just hear like my side of the crowd, like all my friends and shit, like, whoa, just losing it.
Yeah.
And so that's when like my confidence went from here to fucking through the roof. Like, and then that's when like it just like, and you can literally see it on me. Like people are saying you can just see on, and then like every pose I'm just hitting and holding. And I just knew at that moment that like I was on, not only that I was on, but I belonged there.
Yeah.
So I belonged there. And I had the confidence. I was like, I'm gonna beat this dude. And I remember then I found myself even kind of like, I wouldn't say I was like talking. I wouldn't say talking shit because it's Rolly. I'm not gonna talk shit to Rolly.
Yeah.
I was like, let's go. I was like, all right, let's get this. Let's go. Let's get into this one. Like just talking to him, having a little fun because like just the endorphins were through the roof, the confidence was through the roof, and I knew I was on, and I knew I belonged there, and I knew that like I was gonna do some damage. So then it just kind of kept going through prejudging. I don't know if you guys remember, but like. They were still trying to make it a Rolly kind of Hunter show early on, give him the chance to like compare, so they kept moving him to the middle and me to the outside, but like the crowd wasn't letting it happen. I'll tell you that right now. So by the time that prejudging was done, like 95% of that prejudging, like, they were behind me and they wanted to see it be like, they wanted to see me in the middle or at least give me that shot. So they were letting the judges hear it. They were screaming at them like, it was kind of, and what was really, and I know Scott, you saw this. Is actually
I don't think Chicago crowds have the best manners either.
No, like I remember Steve had to turn around and look at a few guys because they were just letting them have it. Man.
Oh
like,
man!
Like he literally just paused and turned around one time, and then he turned back around, and that's when he moved me to the middle. He looked at him, and he was like, then moved me to the middle, and then everyone went crazy. He's like, I know you motherfucker, stop telling me what to do. Like,
yeah.
And so, but it was just a cool feeling overall. And then being like, sorry, I was talking about what John Meadows said was like, he's like, it was one of the most electrifying crowds he has been to. And remember, right before he passed there, he talked about how it really made him enjoy bodybuilding again, seeing these up and comers, come in, just that excitement, just that battle, because like part of the reason I got where I was is because like, man, like I was battling through those rounds of posing, and that was because of my preparation. But like, I remember saying to myself, and like, I hope you guys have felt this before, is like, I will not give up on a pose. I will hold this pose for the next 2 hours if I need to. That's how locked in I was. And like, and then it showed and everybody saw that. And then I think that, obviously that's what helped me, get as high as I did, is because like, I was not going to be denied in regards to the things I could control. And I don't think, maybe that's something that's been missing a little bit, is to see that people, get, just fucking battle until they have nothing left in them anymore,
How was it for you? I'm just curious because it's something that we've all experienced, is you come up and you got all these guys that you're looking up to that have no idea who Brett Wilkin is. Then you fast forward and start to realize that they all know you by first name. And then you fast forward and you start beating them. Like, how is that? Because it's not like you got to do that over years. You got to do that over like a year, where, I mean, you truly did. I mean, I know those of us who are really in the sport obviously have been a part and watched you grow, but for the rest of the world, I think it's got to be kind of crazy to think like, you're going into these shows with guys that, like Ruli, that, I mean, he was a god when, before you were competing. And now next thing you know, he knows damn well who you are now. You know what I'm saying? So how was that for you? I mean, I know it doesn't happen during, but afterwards, if you had a minute, just sit and go, God, like, Jay Cutler has my phone number. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely took a few weeks of just like on cloud nine for definitely 3 to 4 weeks there. I was telling people like, give me a little bit to get back to you and stuff. My head's below water right now with everything that's going on, and I'm just living up this moment and taking advantage of it. So I really wanted to make sure I took advantage of that, soaked it all in. Like you said, the last time I seen Rolly in person was back when Ivona competed in Arnold in Australia. So 2018, so 2018 Arnold Australia. That's when Rolly won. So remember, that's when he wasn't that good at the Arnold, or he got like 4th or something, and then he really fixed his waist and came back and won that Arnold in Australia. And what was cool is like, the Arnold Australia is when like all the competitors kind of come together because you're in a different country, and don't know many people. Yeah. So we all went to dinner afterwards, and I remember sitting next to Rolly and kind of talking to him a little bit and stuff, and kind of just looking up, like you said, up to him as like a god and everything. And then fast forward, next time I saw him in person, I mean, he didn't even know who I was. I'm sure, after the show, he didn't even recognize who I was until afterwards. And he even wrote me after the show, which was really, really cool, and said some awesome, respectful things. And like, that's when it really hit me, like I had these guys I used to look up to, and I was able to beat him on that day and make a name for myself. And now I have him, a friendship there, and, somebody I can talk to, and another big fan of, I was always a huge fan of Justin Compton. And when he was competing, when I was really getting into it, that's when he was really coming up, and so like to have him, he writes me quite a bit, and like he truly believes in me. Like he thinks, like you, Dusty, he thinks I'm gonna be at the top sooner than later. And to have him there, and the guy I used to copy the workouts on and everything, in my corner, it is, it's an amazing feeling. But like the thing is, like, we can't settle on that either. It's just cool to have those resources now, and it's cool to have those feelings. But for me, it just motivates me more, because now I got to fulfill that prophecy. I gotta take that next step, because we've seen people in the past that had, came out on the scene real quick and then kind of faded off on that. And as you've noticed on my stage appearances, and this is also a reason why, I didn't compete anymore after that, is like, I'm so focused on, killing that, that previous version, coming out and, because that's what I feel like, that's what bodybuilding is about. Is it's not so much about beating the people around you, it's about beating yourself, especially when you get to a point. And that's what, that's what I need to continue to do, is every time I step on stage, there's going to be, improvements that the judges are going to base me off of. And that's what I'm working on right now.
I think the fans dig that too, because When I first got into bodybuilding, I wouldn't even say I was a bodybuilder, but started following it, was when like Sean Ray was just top five. And a lot of people would say to me, well, you know, you never really mentioned Sean. I'm like, no, he's phenomenal, but I've seen him. Because that was always my feel of Sean. I'm like, well, Sean will look like he did last year, which is phenomenal, but he's going to look like he did last year. And that'll land him somewhere in that mix. And if people are off, he'll pass them, but it's not drastic. Whereas, you know, Jay, Ronnie, those guys, like, you know, 2003, when he walks out and he's just a different human, that's fun. You're like, oh, shit. That's so fun. I agree with you 100% because as a fan, not even a bodybuilder, like, it's awesome to think to yourself, like, well, fuck, what's Brett going to bring next time? Because I agree with you. Like, I looked at your show, and I'm like, he couldn't have been better that day. And if you could have, it would have been minusculely, so it didn't matter. So it's like, all right, the only thing that might happen is he wins because, you know, it's a better day for him, but not because you're drastically better. So I definitely love that mentality. I listened to your explanation of why you didn't compete afterwards, and I was like, I like this because as a fan, I mean, purely fan, you're like, yeah, I want to see you get drastically better, and somebody's got to win the Olympia. Why can't it be you? It reminds me of Dorian when he had that conversation he talks about with himself, where he was like, wait a minute, someone's got to win. We're all humans. Why not me? You know, I think you've got that in you somewhere as well. It's just, you know, given time enough to catch up to what you already have got in your brain, you know.
We all have.
That's one of the things. I'm willing to have the time too. Yeah, sorry, mate. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that, you know, we all have these dreams, the things we want to do in our lives, and I think that I can speak for myself that the biggest thing that I have to overcome is my fear of trying, you know, and to think that you started out in classic and you decided, well, I have to be bigger than that. You could have stayed there. You know, you could have stayed in classic. You could have figured like, well, I just, you know, I'll stay where I'm at, because it is a risk to say, I'm going to try 212, you know, and then you go to 212 and then you say, and then to do that again, you know, for a 212 to make that jump twice, to go from classic to 212 and then decide I'm going to make that jump. I need to be open. Like there are I think few people that have been able to make jumps like that successfully. Hell, it's hard to get out of your freaking state. It's hard to say, hey, I'm going to move from Iowa, you know, to Colorado. Like those are challenging things, you know? And I think that, you know, hearkening back to kind of what I was saying at the beginning, like, cause I see it, you know, I talk to a lot of our listeners and viewers and just the excitement that's been around you. It's been really cool to follow, because I think it's inspirational. You know, I think that that's what people want to see. These are the things people want to be able to achieve themselves. And I think it doesn't happen as often as it should. And you make it look very easy. You do.
True. Yeah. Well, aside from the hack squats.
Yeah.
You make those look hard. but
I would say I think a lot of
go ahead.
I would say like a lot of like the DMs I get and reaching out from people, and it's a lot of competitors that I think we're always on the fence of, you know, moving up. Like you said, like a lot of it, and I love seeing these messages. It's like, you know, you inspired me to, you know, move up to the heavyweights from the light heavies, you know, because it was just my coach wanted me to stay there, but mentally I wanted to move up. And he's like, but you know, I think people have that, you know, uncertainty. You know, because hey, I'm pretty good at classic physique, but my heart is really telling me to keep growing. But then, like, you know, I was that example of, hey, follow what your heart says. You know, follow what got you into bodybuilding. You know, because like I said, you know, I've competed this was the first time I competed in 2 years. I was on the stage one time in the last 2 years. So what am I doing that other, you know, 700 or something days of the year? What am I doing? I'm living the bodybuilding lifestyle. So why don't you do what you want to do? Why don't you do what you want to love? Continue to develop that way.
Living in, someone said, living in a beautiful area there, what would be the one outdoor activity that you would do in Colorado there, if you had to pick one?
Well, it's hard to ask a bodybuilder that, because the bodybuilding aspect gets in the way of things in regards to size.
If you weren't, you know, if you weren't bodybuilding, what would be your outdoor activity?
Well, I'm gonna give you a quick little story. Like, so I used to come out here growing up, and I would go snowboarding. So like every year, me and my dad and our buddies, we'd come out here snowboarding, you know, all the way from like 16 all the way through like 22. 23. I took some years off and then moved out here. So they all came out here one winter. I was about 250, I think 260. So right around there. And I went up there to meet up with them. Brought my old snowboard, brought everything. After going down one run on the mountain, it was a totally different experience weighing this much. My quad on the backside locked up halfway down the mountain. I couldn't twist across my body. I was getting low back pumps. My feet hurt. I ended up getting to the bottom. I just took everything off, threw it over to the side, and I just
good call. Thank you.
I was like, I'm not gonna go down there. I'm gonna be in the cabin. You guys come get me when you're done. So I was done. So I had to retire. From snowboarding and skiing until I lose some weight. But so mattering on your size, but like you said, I mean, it's awesome up there. I mean, it's beautiful. I'm lucky. I'm on the west side of Denver, so literally I just hop on the interstate and I go up there. You can go up to the mountains, the resorts. Those are fun. Me and Ivona, we like to go see the scenery. There's a place called Grand Lake up there. That's a lake on top of the mountain. We like to go up there and we like to paddleboard a little bit. So you're actually standing on a paddleboard, going, and I'm able to do that, and I enjoy that. Just enjoy the scenery. There's so much to do outside here. So many hiking trails. I don't hike too much, obviously, because I burn too much weight down. So I'm also looking forward to that when the bodybuilding is over. All the activities we can do besides, I'll take them up there, but I'll have to sit out on some things. But I also enjoy it. I enjoy what I'm doing now. So that'll be for me later. And if you're looking for outdoor activities, that Colorado is definitely the place to be for sure.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a concert up at Red Rock?
Oh yeah, yeah. So we like to think that's only about 15 minutes from me as well. So
yeah.
That's the first stop whenever anybody comes out here to. Like I had a buddy in town this past weekend. That's the first stop we go, is because that's kind of a once in a lifetime experience, seeing that concert venue built inside of a big red rock. Pretty much that's what it is, and then you're overlooking Denver on top of that. So it's beautiful up there, and it's a cool experience. There's a lot of cool nature experiences out here as well.
Yeah, well, we're all happy for you. We're excited. You sure left your mark this year and added to the, a lot of people like us, and I've heard the other podcasts too, talking about how bodybuilding has been really exciting this year. And, there's a lot of pent up sort of energy ready to get unleashed from everyone kind of sitting around for a year and gyms being closed and all that bullshit. And it was a real good sort of restart for pro bodybuilding. And you were a part of that this year, man. So
it was, like you said, it was elevate back. Helped out,
Yeah.
I just do what we loved, and we put it together. But like you said, it's going to be really fun these next couple of weeks. I'm so excited for the Arnold. I know you guys are too. Seeing this next line of blood come in there, seeing those, really going to say a lot. It's really going to say a lot moving forward. Seeing where the Nick places, the Ian, the Sergio. So these guys are the next ones up, I think. And I'm right on their coattails, and they know that as well. So it's going to be cool to see how they do, and then leading into the Olympia, and then this next wave of this next generation. It's coming. We've seen the same guys. We've seen the same top six, same 5, 6 for the last 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And so now these openings are coming. And it's gonna be fun being a fan. With you guys here. We're just gonna watch and enjoy it, and it's gonna be changing. So let's keep pushing, and let's get there ourselves.
Hey, I know you got a bunch going on today. What kind of dog are you getting? You said you're going to get a dog today.
Oh,
I had to ask.
There's a story behind this one. I wasn't expecting a dog, so my wife left 4 weeks ago. She left here, and she went back to Des Moines, Iowa, to meet up with family because her and her mom flew out to Serbia. So she's been out in Serbia the last 3 weeks visiting family.
I saw some pictures.
So her and her mom are the only ones that have ever gone back. She moved here when she was 6. They immigrated because there's a civil war going on over there. So they've only actually gone back. They went back one time 5 years ago, until this was the second time they went back to see family. So right before, going back to that story, is right before she left, I've been looking for a new truck, and they actually had the exact one I wanted out in Iowa. So she picked that up for me.
Nice.
So I already knew I was getting that. She put it in the garage there while she went to Serbia. Then while she was out in Serbia, she decided to call me, and she was telling me about how her family out there breeds this Italian. They breed this Italian dog breed.
Huh.
It's called like Legato Romagnolo. I can't even pronounce it yet. It's an Italian name, but they're truffle dogs. So they're really famous out there because I think they're like $5,000 to $7,000 dogs because they like dig up these these expensive mushrooms.
Huh.
Yeah,
no kidding.
So like her family
can they find the Colorado mushrooms?
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna, they're one of the most trainable
Brett's
dogs.
got it all trained up.
Try whatever. They'll find the good ones. But yeah, her family gifted us one, and she was like, they want to give us this one. It's a 6-month boy, and I go, hey, if you figure out how to get it here, because I was like, there's no way this is gonna happen. Like, I thought she was gonna if you figure out how to get it here, we'll take it. Because we've talked about a dog in the past, but like I didn't think it was gonna happen, man. But she did like 6 weeks work in like 3 days. Like you had to get the dog a visa, crap. you had to register for all the flights. Oh gosh, she had to go to the vet like 4 times. But she wanted it that bad, and she got it, and they flew back 2 days ago, got here in the United States, and she should be there now. Then they have to drive back from Iowa, so here in a couple hours, she's going to be pulling up with the new truck and a new dog. So like I said, it's like Christmas for me here today.
Hell
so
yeah!
I'm excited.
Hell yeah!
As long as the dog doesn't have to pass a COVID test, it'll be all right.
Right, yeah. And I was like, does this thing have to quarantine? Like I don't understand anymore.
Well, congratulations on everything, man. Thanks for coming on the show and giving us your time, especially, being a busy dude. And one word, if you had to put your money on it, who's going to win the Arnold?
I'll give you top 2, and then 3 through 6. I think William's going to win. I think just experience. I think he's driven right now. Show that he's still up there. He's not out of the picture yet. So I got Bonek first. I got Akeem in second, man. I really like. He's just freaking. I think he's been putting his conditioning together. I got Akeem in second, and then honestly, 3rd through 6th is gonna be a shit show. That. It's literally gonna come down to who just like peaks perfectly. So it's gonna be you got Ian, Nick, Sergio, Steve. Like I think those 4 are gonna be just battling it out. And like I said, it's just gonna be who's maybe just a little driest or a full. It's gonna be cool. So I'm excited for that. And I'm just then they have those opportunities to take it to the next level and then carry that on over to the Olympia with the other big group there.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it. Brett Wilkin, everybody.
Hey,
Cheers,
thank you, Ron.
buddy.
Thanks, Dusty. And thanks, Scott. Appreciate you guys.
Brett.
Talk to you soon.
Appreciate your time, man.
You bet.
All right.
That was awesome. Great guy.
We're not done yet. My dogs hear us hang up and they start moving. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's not official. Brett's leaving.
Right.
You don't get to go outside yet.
Yeah. I know what you mean. So what's new at Dusty?
Well, that was seamless. Oh, man. For once, things are it seems like the same story, but it does seem different. I started back with JP last week and started eating a bunch and training. I did my first full. I got through all the training days of his program, survived, which, I haven't really mentioned it, but I literally was just going to the gym and even less than usual, just hitting a couple basic movements and leaving. So I was annihilated this week. Like yesterday was a pull leg day. So it was funny. I wrote down a couple things I did, and somebody was like, "Oh, so you did deadlifts and hack squats on the same day." I went ahead and listed the other 6 things I also did just to kind of drive home what a JP workout looks like. I'm like, you can't have a job and train with JP. That's the key. I mean, literally, I was there yesterday for 2 hours and 20 minutes to do the workout. Now, granted, it took me some time on the deads because they were bad, but and I was almost 292 again, so I can't even have my has-been stories anymore about the hospital. It's over. That's
awesome.
Old shit now. So yeah, all is good, man. And I mean, that's it.
Ron had a big weekend.
I went to Toronto.
Yeah.
I went to Toronto this weekend, and 2 interesting things. I went completely off my diet and just ate nothing but restaurant food for 3 days.
Huh.
and somehow came back the exact same weight in the exact same condition, and I look exactly the same. So, I didn't gain a single pound. I woke up this morning 248. I'm like, oh,
thanks for that. Now all my clients want to eat out for the next 3 days.
Right?
Yeah. But it's because of the total calories rule. I might have had nothing but restaurant food, but I only ate like 3 meals a day.
Right.
So, and then I had some whey isolate in the room. So if I needed a meal, I would just literally have 2 scoops of whey iso and water. And then my next meal would be like a burger and fries. So it was, it's the balance. It's the balance, Dusty.
There's that word that everyone loves so much, balance.
Yeah. And then of course the reason I went to Toronto was Canadian Nationals, and I had one client, and it's always a blast when you go to a show with one guy and he wins the super heavies, the overall, and the pro card. Yes. And then you take the first flight home.
My work's done here.
Exactly. See ya. Ron dusted his shoulder off and walked out.
It felt good. It felt real good. You know what? Like, he deserved it. Great guy. Morgan McDonald, really happy for him. We worked really hard this year. He worked really hard. But I also was like, fuck, I needed that. I had a stressful year.
Thanks, Morgan.
Like, I was sitting on the plane. I was like, I fucking needed that. Like as a guy who's been through a lot the last year and a half, it felt good, and that's the show that I did 13 times, so, Canadian Nationals is kind of a special show for me. So yeah, it felt pretty fucking good, and
how was the show overall?
It was good. I mean, it went, they did all the men in the morning, and they didn't do like prejudging night show. They just did all the one show, so they did all the guys in the morning. They finished around 1:30, and then they took a little break, and then they did all the women, and they finished at like 7:30, and they just smashed through divisions as fast as they could. And but yeah, it was good. It was competitive. The best part was there's a really great bodybuilder out of Quebec. His name's Derek Lamontagne. I believe I say that correctly. Good guy, a great coach. And he actually beat Morgan at the Atlantics. So Morgan got second to him at the Atlantics, and it was really disappointing because Morgan was like, oh, fuck, like didn't expect that. And he lost by 1 point. And so then fast forward 2 months, and Derek won the heavyweights, and Morgan won the supers, and they got to face off in the overall. And fortunately, it was Morgan's day this time. We had the extra 2 months to make improvements, and it was a long time between shows, but it was nice to come out on top. And it's always fun when you rise to a challenge and overcome it, and you feel pretty good afterwards. And he's going to get better. Everyone involved will get better because of everything that happened. It's just the way it goes. Yeah. So yeah, bodybuilding's fun, man. Especially you come out on top at a show like that, and, head home.
It's like you said though. It's crazy to me how much. I want to say I took for granted having bodybuilding all the time, every year, the traveling, to the point that even like I told you, Ron, off there, that like there were times I complained a little bit about having to get on another flight to go to Germany or do whatever, because those weekends are long and hard, and that's never going to happen again. You take that away for essentially a whole year. I mean, even just to the point of walking into a gym and there being other people, I still notice that now. Like, it's nice to not be the only one here. And it's not that I didn't enjoy training alone, but there's definitely something about it. I'm watching the shows a lot more excited now, and, just basic stuff, obviously both in bodybuilding and then, of course, being in the States. I mean, nothing quite like seeing a crowd full of college football fans and going, yeah, we're back,
Yeah. It was good, too. I went and trained at Pure Muscle, I'm sure everybody's seen Pure Muscle and Fitness, on Instagram, kind of the big gym out east there in Toronto. And I mean, they've just gone crazy in there. I got to give credit to all the HD guys, and obviously Dorian and his brother Noah have built quite a gym there. It's like it's like a dream showroom for equipment,
Right.
So in the main room, like the old gym, which would be the black room, if you ever see the pictures, there's the original gym. They've got like, I don't know, 6 or 8 leg presses in there.
Dang.
And then you go through the door into the new room, which is the big white room, and there's another, like, I don't know, 10 leg presses in there, and they're not all doubled up.
Wow.
So like they're not all doubles. Some of them are doubles, but not all of them. And like there's like 10 leg curls in a row, and then you go into the other room and there's 10 leg curls in a row.
Huh.
So like there's just everything. There's dumbbells to 200 in both rooms.
Holy shit.
No shit.
2 sets.
Yeah. Like, so it's
crazy.
just like,
most people don't know what dumbbells cost. Like that, my brain immediately just did the math, and I went, "Oh,
yeah."
Yeah, the one room is all the Umaxes, and then the other room has the silver Ivoncos, the one piece of Ivoncos, the stainless steel
the
ones,
really cheap ones.
So they're just the really cheap ones, the ones you get on Craigslist. And so it's just like it's a massive super facility, Obviously, they're doing all their filming there, and the gym's probably a write-off for HD, right? So it's real smart.
Right.
They're doing great, but just it's be the ultimate sort of like collector's showroom is what it is, and it's really clean and sharp, and and they've did a good job hiding in a very remote industrial area, so like prying eyes are not around. So I'm sure that's as a gym owner, I see the benefits of that. We're on a main road, right, with all this traffic going by, and sometimes during COVID we're like, Jesus, so but it was a good time. I had a great time. Everyone in Toronto was awesome. I actually regretted flying out. My habit is to get the fuck out of town as fast as possible, right? And I actually wish I would have stayed on Sunday and kind of been a little social. Sometimes, Dusty, I forget to be social.
I never forget. I don't plan to be.
I was waiting. I was giving you the space you needed.
Wait a minute.
Dusty's like calculating. He's like, I'm not agreeing with this.
Yeah.
No. And then the highlight
you went with Ronaldo too, right?
Yeah. That was just going to say, I went for dinner with Ronaldo one night, hooked up with Ronaldo. It was really great to see him again. And then the following night after the show, I went out with Paul Lozon. He was one of the judges.
Oh, no way.
So
cool.
Me and Paul went out and had a steak at a nice steakhouse afterwards. And generally made fun of Fuad for about 2.5 hours. And he told me a bunch of funny stories. And it was all fun. We laughed our asses off. After I was done eating dinner with Paul, I called Emily and I said, my fucking abs hurt. My abs hurt. I was laughing so hard. We were just fucking killing ourselves, when you just get on a roll.
Yeah.
And, we might have been in the parking lot for a little while too, so it was a good night. Yeah. Okay. Well, Scott hasn't shown us a gun yet, but it is the end of the episode, I think.
You can assume there's a couple around. How about that?
And I saw you answer that question online about whether you pack in your car or whether you put it in the glove compartment or something.
Yeah.
And I liked your answer.
Yeah.
You want to keep it on you in case you're forced from the vehicle.
You never know. You gotta. We'll do one of those. How about that?
You never know.
You never know.
You never know. Never know when you might have to put 2 through the fucking door, eh? Just pop under your arm. Boom,
yeah. Well, here's the thing.
I always wanted to do that.
The deal is that you never know if you have to get out of your car. And the term I've heard is that if you get in a gunfight, that a car is a coffin. You want to get out of the vehicle as soon as possible if there's a gunfight. If you can't drive away, okay. Right. So yeah, that's the deal. So when you don't know, if somebody gets a drop on you and they say carjack you, then you got to get out of your vehicle. You can't be like, oh, let me go to my glove box first, because
it's 1 second.
The chances of actually being able to access your weapon if it's not on body. That's the term they use, on body versus off body carrying. And I'm not comfortable. I thought I'd be one of those guys like you just put it in your gym bag, put it between the seats or whatever. But if you do that, there's a lot more responsibility because then you have to have your eye on that gym bag the whole time or whatever. So
right.
Yeah. A little more work to carry on body all the time, but I think I'm I'm down for it. I got it. I got the
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not used to it, Scott.
Not after tomorrow though. After tomorrow, there's no guns allowed. I find
your lifestyle choices intriguing.
That's great.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Dusty. Episode 105 with Brett Wilkin. That was a good one. I had a lot of fun.
He's freaking awesome.
Likewise.
Okay. So remember, like, share, subscribe, comment.
Ring the bell.
Good job, Dusty.
There you go. And remember, guys, it's just bodybuilding.
All right.
Success.
That was a great episode.